Hello, everyone. Welcome to Art Salon. I'm Elle Schorr. This is our second annual Basel Through Our Eyes. Last year, we did this for the first time, and we found that each of the people who did a presentation about what their experiences had been, what their favorite pieces were, had something really helpful to add to our overall understanding of what the fairs are about. They've become a major force in South Florida. Our next speaker is Michelle Miller, who I met here at Art Salon. She's a painter, but she's also doing a lot of work having to do with the environment and having to do with pieces that are put together out of a lot of different materials, as I'm understanding it. She just got her BFA from FAU and is now taking a drawing class. And I find her a really tuned in, interesting person who's excited by art. And I want to hear what she has to say.
Thanks, Ellie. Thanks. Hi. Totally different tack from your presentation. I'm obsessed with emerging artists and some mid-career artists, so I boycotted the convention center this year. I went to a couple of the satellite fairs on the beach, so I visited Nada, Pulse, and Entitled. I will say, for future reference, Nada is not to be missed, and Entitled, Pulse I could kind of do without. Anyway, so this is the work as I saw it and as it caught my eye, and I'll just go through them. Brian Kokoska, I did not know him, but this was sort of like a weird, funky oasis in the insanity that is Nada. He's really young, like 26, and he does these funky installations, all sorts of materials. You'll find that I love dense works and lots of weird materials. So he definitely fits my criteria, something that's really interesting and different. He seems to be really hot right now. I think there's an exhibit of his coming up this year at David Castillo Gallery down in Miami. Shara Hughes, I adore her. She's like a painter's painter. I think she's in Atlanta. She might be a teacher or former teacher. Just really interesting use of paint. These are small, 14 by 11, oil on canvas. Just really interesting work, lovely work. Unfortunately, they were hung on a hallway, like kind of hard to see with people walking by, but I definitely recommend checking her out. Tom Thayer was also a discovery. Again, he uses weird materials like felt and spent fireworks. I don't know how he does this. I don't know what that means. He likes birds. I loved that this was coming off the canvas and out into the space, and it had these sort of rough edges. You just sort of wanted to rub up against it. It's kind of cool. Paul Simmons and Alistair Macaulay, textile artists based in Glasgow. This is the coolest thing. It's a monoprint with ink and paint on velvet. So not like Elvis. It's like this weird psychedelic Mickey Mouse face in there. But I just loved it. I thought it was just, yeah, it's like, it's weird. They have really fancy textiles and pillows. You can go to their website, you know, like $1,000 or something like that for a pillow, something crazy. But really beautiful, lovely stuff. They win awards. Naomi Reyes, she was a new discovery too for me. She's a Japanese artist. She lives in New York, and she does these sort of staged tableau environments where she visits parks and gardens in Brooklyn and the Bronx and Tokyo, and then she pretends that she's creating a wild forest environment, but they're really just fake staged human created nature scenes. And it's paper, so she paints and does ink on washi paper, and she does collage. So they end up looking really painterly, really just lovely pieces, and I like the odd shapes. So she'll be another one that I sort of keep an eye on. I love Margie Livingston. She loves paint, and she uses gallons of it, pours it on the floor, sort of like Linda Benglis, creates these sort of bark-like things and constructions and objects and folds them. It's really kind of wild. And so this is another work dipped, it's on string. So it's all acrylic paint on string and sort of reminds me of Silhouette a little bit. Just really interesting use of material. Alice Rosner is my new obsession. She takes Yupo paper that she rubs with graphite on her rough wooden table in her apartment. So it gets this wood grain on it, and then she uses acrylic paint to go back in and paint onto it. So just a really fresh, beautiful graphic approach to painting, really densely layered images. And this one, I think she wrapped the Yupo onto stretcher bars. And there's a detail so you can see the wood grain. Just, I don't know, it's just so different. I really like how she paints. Jorge Maillet is a Cuban artist living in Spain, and he creates these little nature scenes of trees. They're like electrical wire, paint, paper mache. It's sort of like the kid in me that loves dioramas is drawn to his works, and there'll be, roots coming out of them, or they'll be stuck onto things. They're just really lovely. I like work that I can't quite figure out how they made it, too. That's also a criteria for me. I couldn't get the name. The tags were so small. I don't know this artist, but I love these things. They're weird. They're kind of gross. It's like fur balls in paint with bark, and I don't really know, but I absolutely love them. There was something like dirty about them, and they were small, so they were kind of unobtrusive. But I liked them a lot. Lauren Fensterstock makes beautiful installations. She's got to be the most obsessive person. She cuts up thousands of pieces of paper, fills an entire gallery or museum space with these constructions. This, by comparison, is small, but this one is actually all these shells. So thousands of shells like stuck together. And she just like puts them together, yeah. And so usually she works a lot in black paper, but so this was interesting. Yeah, she's one to look up. She lives in Portland, Maine. I swear she leads this like ascetic lifestyle. I think that they are real shells. They just say mixed media on a lot of her work, but it was lovely. Erica Runny is a painter I found. I love her work. It reminds me of Elizabeth Condon, who I'm obsessed with. I just like her sort of fluid, liquid use of paint. I like the weird space she creates and that little bit of nature in the back there. It's just kind of cool. This is an Untitled, Ebony G. Patterson. They're called the Bling Funeral series. I just thought it was great. People don't like to talk about death or, dying, mortality, and here she is. She's totally like bedazzled all these caskets and stuck them up in the air. It's kind of crazy. Andrew Holmquist was another painter that I discovered. I just love the way he uses paint. It's so translucent. It's like this weird figure with these geometric boxes. I couldn't quite figure it out, but it was really appealing to me, so I'll be watching him too. Angelina Gualdoni, I definitely sought her out. I've been watching her. You know how some artists, like you see photographs of their work and you're like, oh, I love that, I gotta go see that. And then you see it and it's such a letdown in real life. Her work is not. It's absolutely beautiful to look at. It's just, she has a mastery of her materials that's just gorgeous, and they're just so weird. I like weird work. And here's a case in point, Guillermo Mora. Lots of weird materials like resin and paint and objects and hair and, I don't know, fur. But I love it. He had a larger piece apparently at the convention center that I didn't get to see, but I just really liked how weird and quirky this was. And that one is, I didn't get a name for that one. Caroline Larson, she was one I really like her work in photographs, and it's beautiful to look at in person. I have to say, after seeing it though now, I completely get how she makes it, so I'm not totally like sold. But she makes really just beautiful, densely layered oil paintings. They're extruded, so you can see, yeah, she's using like a pastry bag or a squirt bottle or something. So it's a lot of oil paint to be doing this. But I can really sort of figure it out. So they're beautiful compositions though, and I encourage you to look at more of her work. This piece was actually $2,400. So I wanted to end with this guy again, Brian Kokoska, because when I saw this, all I could think about was that snake goddess from Knossos. This Minoan figurine. So he's this 26-year-old superstar, rising superstar, punk artist. and he's clearly keyed into art history, ancient art history, and doing something really new and fresh with it. So I just thought it was really interesting. So I would keep an eye on him for sure.
Like that? Thank you, Michelle.